Welcome, everyone, to the Daily Download brought to you by Rex Opportunities in Ritual Motion. I have a new special guest with me today. I have collegiate coach Adam Antor, and you're in a special location today.
I am. I'm at the Future of Education Technology Conference in Orlando, Florida, and there's a lot of awesome people here meeting up with a lot of esports folks and learning about the technology of education for tomorrow, I guess. So
I love
glad to
it.
be here.
As a former teacher, it just like that makes my heart happy.
Yeah,
Um, cool. Well, we're gonna go through these pretty fast and let you enjoy your day, but we appreciate you here on Fridays. So, first, kind of fun headline, it's not really a big headline, is they are making an Office mobile game. Now, this is off of the NBC show where you can kind of live through some of the scenarios from the show.
that's kind of cool. I'm a fan of The Office, so I might have to check it out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I liked like the first couple episodes or the first couple seasons, and then I kind of like
That's fair.
jumped off.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. So switching gears, not so fun, but I think very important. Epic is in two headlines today. The first one is that 35 US states file an antitrust case against Apple in support of Epic. So Apple's conduct has harmed and is harming mobile app developers and millions of citizens, is the quote. Which is interesting because yesterday we talked about how FanHouse kind of blasted Apple for their charges in their in-app
Right,
purchases.
right, right, and it's a massive issue. They have one of the highest cuts of the revenue share out of the mobile platform. So really interesting to follow. I've been following it for a couple of years now. I did my final master's capstone project on Epic, and it was about the same time when the trial started and all of the financials became public. So Epic's a really fascinating company, and to see it continue, who knows what will happen. It's all very fascinating.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see like which power will end up being stronger, Apple or
It's
Epic.
true. Very true.
Yeah, for yesterday's, FanHouse had to increase their like payment by 50% in their just for their Apple users. It's just crazy.
Wow.
Um,
Right.
yeah, well, going into studying Epic, you'll love this one, Lynn. The Epic Game Store generated $840 million in consumer spending in 2021. Like my brain can't wrap around that. That is a 20% increase for their year over year digital storefront.
Actually a crazy number. I wonder if like skins in Fortnite would count towards that number, because I would say that probably in-app purchases within the Epic IP would probably be a significant amount of that. If it's not, I would be even more baffled by that number. I think
Yeah.
Epic Game Store is a property of their company that they continue to pour resources into with the hope of it becoming more of a staple for consumers. So
Yeah.
really important to keep an eye out as a gamer and in the esports industry.
Yeah, and with all these mergers and acquisitions, it's interesting. The bigger these companies get and the more money they make, I'm like, ooh, what
Yeah,
are
I
they
mean
going
they
to
have
do?
to, but a lot of these companies have to get bigger just to compete with what's becoming. I mean, the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition is massive, and you're going to see some other companies probably buying up properties just to stay relevant in the marketplace.
Yeah, I was surprised, like in a good way, but I could see where it turns into a monster. Almost maybe a monopoly is when Riot and Epic collaborated for the Arcane.
Yes.
I enjoyed it because I like playing Fortnite and I enjoy
Yeah.
the Riot lore. And so I was just like, I like this, but I'm a little hesitant on supporting it.
Yeah, but they also both have large. The same owner owns large stakes in both companies, Tencent from China. So there's that collaboration slash parent company of Riot and a pretty decent stake in Epic Games through Tencent. So you continue to see this consolidation within the industry, and Tencent is one of those players that we don't talk about, but behind the scenes they own a significant portion of the gaming industry.
Yeah, I always forget that. They
Yeah,
have part of Epic as well.
they do.
Mm. All right. Well, moving on. Um, Koji raises 20 million to add crypto to creators' links in bio. Now, I had not heard of Koji, so I had to do a little bit of digging. But it is an app that lets creators, share their information, and then they're going to be allowing them to have these what they're calling mini apps, and then they're going to have more than 200 of these single function apps that creators can include in their LinkedIn bio landing page. But I bringing this up because we've talked a lot over the past weeks with Ben and Dana about all these like partnerships and collabs happening with gaming, either companies or esports orgs and crypto. So it's interesting that even another one is getting brought in.
Interesting. That is
Um,
fascinating.
yeah. We talk a lot about the crypto space in this just because it keeps popping in the recent
It
headlines.
does. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this one I like nerding out, and I may have to go check out the white papers. Is Nielsen and Fnatic publish the ROI of esports white paper? So, and with your study on Epic, this might be a fun one too. Is it was conducted by Nielsen in partnership with Fnatic. The white papers comprises of results of the collaborative study concerning the return of investment in esports. And they found out that media exposure and reach and activation, engagement, and brand impact and the business impact that they're sponsoring esports organizations actually is having a higher return than some traditional sports. And so I find that very fascinating as somebody who likes to follow these big esports leagues.
That is actually baffling to me that someone not endemic to esports has found something that supports the level of investment that's heading into esports. And I think that for anyone in the industry, I think this paper is probably something that we need to be reading and knowledgeable of as we continue to navigate the space and work with partners, et cetera. But that is really fascinating to hear about and something I'm definitely on my need to read this week list.
Right. Yeah, it'll be great to use in like pitch decks and all kinds of things. I'm sure
Absolutely.
this is going to get referenced a lot. And I'm curious to see what sponsors are going to hop in. I mean, we've already see like huge ones for at least League of Legends and some of the other leagues. I focus more on League of Legends because that's the one I watch. But I'm curious to see the sponsorships that are going to happen from this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Team Spirit partners with cryptocurrency exchange BitGet. So this one's interesting because almost every day, like I said earlier, we have these announcements coming through. This one is a Russian esport organization, and they are partnering with Singapore-based cryptocurrency exchange. A few highlights from it: the BitGet will be branded on the team's jerseys. They'll both be collaborating on a number of in-game and social media activations. And they say, we'll see if it's true, their goal is to educate fans more about cryptocurrency. But with that last report of sponsorship having a high return, I feel like it's more to be seen and get more sales, but hopefully some people can learn more about cryptocurrency from it.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, yeah, it does seem like every week there's a new partnership announced between a cryptocurrency company and an esports org or traditional sports as well. We're seeing the same thing. So here's another one. We'll see how they go.
Add it to the list. I should start keeping like a spreadsheet of all these announcements so that we can kind of keep track of how many are happening. And then kind of the last one for today is Sport5 teams up with Bad Moon Talent. And they were just talking about how the two agencies will provide current and prospective clients with extensive industry knowledge and more global resources, and that it was really a no-brainer for them to partner together. So makes sense that they want to partner up. Nothing too big or flashy from that one.
Definitely.
And now, any good collegiate stories that we should be paying attention to other than everybody getting those sponsorship white papers?
Yeah, I think that's a really important piece of it. As we kind of get to the end of January, what that means for collegiate esports is that all the leagues and competition are just about to start back up. We've got a lot of there's a lot of movement in the space, a lot of partnerships that are going to be announced this spring from a bunch of different organizations. Not sure how many of those are actually public at this point, but it's really evolving space at the college and the high school level right now. A lot of conversations happening about what's currently in the space, what's been announced, what might happen. I think what the really important piece of the long-term, the puzzle that collegiate and high school needs to keep an eye on is the licensing companies within collegiate, the traditional athletic side of things, Learfield, Playfly, CSMG. They are massive companies in traditional athletics at the collegiate level, and now they're all entering the esports space. And what they do with that and how big they jump in is really going to determine the trajectory of collegiate esports the next 5 to 10 years, in my opinion. So really keep an eye out on that. Learfield has been hosting some Madden tournaments, but it's probably a good guess that they're going to expand past Madden at some point in some form. And I think that's really an important piece of the puzzle that we have to keep an eye out on, and something that I think from a business standpoint is really important for all of us to know. So, but past that, I mean, colleges and high schools are ramping up for competition, and it's going to be another semester of hopefully some good opportunities for students and some an opportunity for newer programs or smaller programs to make a name for themselves on the national stage. Who those will be, we shall see. But there's some really cool teams and new schools getting involved that I think could make a big splash in the space.
That's very exciting. I'm excited to watch some of that. If somebody wants to catch up on collegiate, do you have a place that they can kind of go look up?
A good question. I think my Twitter is usually pretty active, and I
Yeah.
think I like to comment on what's going on. So follow me on Twitter at Coach Antor. But other than that, I mean, there's all the collegiate organizations usually put out announcements as they're made public on their Twitter. So Twitter is usually the go-to. That's where we live. So.
Yeah, for sure. Twitter is always hopping with the collegiate peeps.
And obviously watching this show every Friday, hopefully.
Every Friday, yeah.
I'll keep you informed if I'm here on the latest in collegiate as we move forward.
One last question with the sponsorships. If a business is catching wind of this and they want to reach out to a college to sponsor, what's the best route for them?
That's a good question. I would say trying to figure out what your goals for the space would be. I mean, there's not as many eyes on collegiate esports as you might think there are. It's still very early on in the space. So try to figure out what your goals are. Is it to partner with an organization and use that as a topic for increased media exposure, or is it the eyes you're trying to get in front of? And that's going to determine who you reach out to and how you reach out to them and what resources you might put into that. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'm more than willing to give my hot take and my thoughts on the subject. But reaching out to some college coaches or who you want to get connected with is a great first step as well.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll put your Twitter information in the chat as well here in a moment. Well, that's it. We appreciate you being here, Adam. This was sponsored again by Rex Opportunities and Ritual Motion. There is a summit coming up if you want to learn more about creator economy and the metaverse on March 2nd. Link is in the chat, as well as if you want to sign up for the daily download and get your daily headlines for esports and gaming and crypto. And then we'll put Adam's information in as well. We will be posting this on LinkedIn and wherever we feel that we can. So thank you. How Ben always has us end is with kisses. So
Okay.
everyone have a great day.